Right, this Hangout on Air is live, so the link should now work. Let me see. I'm
still saying it's unavailable.
Still saying starting soon, isn't it? Okay, links. All right, so let's just check. I'm going to put this in a text message on the right-hand side here. That's the link to this video. No, it's live now.
If you click off here.
Yeah, I've just refreshed your YouTube page. I've got it on another screen. It seems to be working fine.
Try the...
That's the 531.
It's the one that ends in DETZA.
It's not working. It says the video is unavailable. Sorry about that.
Well, I've got it and it's working fine on another screen here.
No,
it's not working. The link we've sent to the trainees, it's not coming up.
Click
and the link you've just sent as well in the group chat. That doesn't work for us.
I don't know what to suggest here. I mean, let me just check. We signed out. I'll take that link and try it as a non-logged in user.
Let me see if it works for me.
Oh, this video is private. Okay. Right. Live events, edit. I wanted to make this private. Let me just change that to. Yeah, no, that's probably why. I'll just make it unlisted. Save changes. Okay, can you try now?
Still says it's unavailable.
Let's give it a quick chance.
Yeah.
Publish.
Still saying it's unavailable. I did this fine.
This video is private. That's nonsense.
Oh, we log in. Complaining.
What I think I might do very quickly then is if I can grab all of their email addresses, I could invite them directly.
Can you invite the tutors as well?
Yeah, I shouldn't need to do any of this.
They're emailing in asking what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I've made the video public.
Do you want me to add? Can I add them to this conversation that we're having?
Yeah, you could do it in here, although that doesn't get right. Yeah, you can do that for them to join the conversation, but it's not the same as them actually watching the Hangout on Air. But by all means, do that. I'll keep working at the video to see why it isn't.
Oh, sorry, Heather. I don't know what I'm doing. I've got a clue.
That's just nonsense.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but forgive me. I've just made session 2 public, not session 1.
Not right now, no. Sorry, I'm on the online thing. Tell her we're just trying to sort it out. She's ringing because we can't.
Okay.
Not on.
Oh, but you want me to talk to you?
Yeah, please.
Can you try and refresh your video screen?
Hi, Sarah, it's Heather. Yeah, there's...
It's on now. Tell her it's working now.
Hi, Sarah, it's Heather.
It's working now.
Yeah.
It's on now. Tell her it's working now. It's working now.
Yeah.
It's on now. Tell her it's working now. Because I've got it in 2. It's like a delay. Oh, it's just repeating me, Mark. That's not good. Everybody needs to hear me being bossy. Oh, I've lost your volume. Your sound's gone, Mark.
You've got 2 sessions. you've got two live microphones open, so it's got a feedback loop. On one of the machines, you need to turn the microphone off.
Yeah, I have. I've turned the YouTube off now.
Okay, that'll be it. It's a feedback loop when it's sort of hearing itself and going into an echo chamber.
Okay.
Okay, well, we can start whenever you like then, Charlotte, because we are broadcasting live now to the world.
Okay. If we give it 5 minutes, we don't know who's trying to access. Obviously, there were apologies for the technical issue to start.
We have 15 people watching the video at the moment.
Okay, that's good. We're not sure how many are actually going to be in, as it were.
Yeah.
Can we watch it through YouTube?
No, because we're part of it.
You can watch it on another machine and just turn the microphone off, and then you'll be able to see, see on the other machine.
We'll watch it on YouTube, so and turn a mic off. Yeah. Hopefully everyone's had the chance to refresh and get back into it now and get it out. Just turn your volume down, I think. Refresh and get. There you go. Turn me off. Yeah. Right. Whenever you are ready, then Mark.
Okay. Right. We're going to start by showing you a screen which will let you put in some Q&A questions if you get a good idea for a question. So I'm just going to share my screen with you and leave that on there for a minute or so that you can take the link at the top of that slide. And if you can open another tab, if you feel like it, open another tab and put that address in, then that will allow you to submit questions and to vote on other people's questions so that the good questions percolate to the top. To be honest, what we're covering today is pretty straightforward, so I don't think you're going to have a lot of questions, but of course, feel free to submit them. And you can always come to me afterwards with questions if when the dust settles, you've got some other issues. But as I say, in essence, what we're doing today is pretty simple. We're going to show you the process where you can put in the material for your online check and let your tutor know which standards you think you're making claims for, and they'll get a notification to say what you've submitted and where to find it.
Mark, can you tell them the slide, the link to the slide, because it's blurry on YouTube?
Okay. All right. It's goo.gul. That's GOO.GL /slides.
/slide.
Yeah, /slides / and all the letters are lowercase in this, 2H45HV. So that's 2 Hotel 45 Hotel Victor.
Chris has just posted it on chat as well, so they should be able to all link through to it from there.
Marvelous, that's great. Okay, so if everybody's had enough time to write that down and hopefully to join, then as I say, just feel free to throw in some Q&A session questions in there. But what we're going to do now is jump to another screen. So I'm going to stop presenting that one and present this screen. And in this screen, I'm taking on the role of a dummy trainee. No jokes, please. It's just a trainee that is a fictional trainee that we've created for the purpose here. So here you can see that trainee. He's called Adam Smith, and this is Adam Smith's drive. Now, of course, you may have accumulated a lot of other stuff and made other folders and so on. But what we're looking for here is a folder called Evidence, and then inside there, Evidence for Submission. Your own folder structure may not look exactly like this yet, but it will do by this evening, because I'm going to go through and tidy them all up so they look exactly the same. And in that Evidence for Submission folder, you've got a folder for each of the standards. There should be one for part 2 as well, but Adam hasn't done that yet. Okay, so this is where we want you to place the evidence that you want to put in front of your tutors for the various standards where you're making a claim. So for instance, Adam's got, if I go into S1, you'll see that he's got a bunch of, I mean, this is nonsense. The stuff I've put in here is just to illustrate the idea. And you can drag stuff in from your memory sticks or your school folders or whatever it might be, or you can go to the blue button here and say new file upload and do it that way. But however you get that material in, and whether you're looking at it in the thumbnail view that we have here or the list view that may be more familiar to you, doesn't really matter. It's just a collection of stuff, and Charlotte can give you precise details on how many things to put in here and what the expectations are a little later. So Nathan, am I on the right line? Yeah, it looks like it. Right link, there we go. Thank you, Robert, for responding. That's great. If you answer each other's questions, there's even less for me to do. So we've got, that's for the various standards, and Adam is now going to make, he's going to let his tutor know that he's making claims about standards 1 and standard 2. That's the only thing that he's going to do. So once you've got the material in the right folders and you're happy with it and you've polished it and you're really convinced that this is the best you can do for this online check, you then need to go across to the website, which at the moment looks like this and may change over time, and that's fine. But what you'll need to do is find the link through to the trainee portal. And once you're on that and you're signed in, you'll see the trainee assessment form link. Now that is a Google form which you can fill in right in the website. And it starts by asking you, well, what's the assessment period that we're concerned with here? You can see the little asterisk there. Wherever you see the red asterisk, it means that this is a compulsory or mandatory question. You have to put something in here. So Adam is going to put in something for online check 2. And I've broken these down into bite-sized steps. So there's quite a lot of clicking through as you fill in each section, but there's not too much information in each of them. So it shouldn't be too confusing. So online check 2, next. Now this is a question where at first it doesn't look like there's much on here. There's just the word choose underneath choose your first standard. But that's because you may not be putting in things for every standard in sequence. You might be putting in 1, 5, and 7, for instance, or 1, 2, and 6. So you're going to do those one at a time. So here we're going, Adam is putting in something for standard 1. So you choose from the drop-down list, you choose standard 1 and click next. And you'll do that each time you need to go through the various standards. The grade descriptors for the standard are shown there. So you can refresh your memory about what is required for each of the various grades within the standard. And once you're happy with that assessment, you'll see that it's organized from 1 outstanding down to 4 not meeting the minimum. And let's say that Adam, in this case, feels that he's got good evidence or evidence that he's reached good at standard 1. He'll say 2, which equates to good, and next. And now the same thing for standard 2. He's going to make a claim on standard 2 where maybe he isn't quite as confident. So we now go to standard 2, next, and not quite as confident, so he's going to say 3 for that standard. That's completed. Now he's going to have to say, I'm completed. So again, go to the next standard and say completed, next. And at that point, you're able to click on the submit button and your evidence will be notified to your tutor. In fact, what happens next is that your tutor gets an email that says that the trainee, in this case Adam Smith, has submitted for online check 2, has made the claim that for standard 1 he's reached this standard and standard 2 he's reached this standard, and gives the tutor a link through to the relevant folders so they don't have to mess about trying to guess where the evidence is. They're taken right to it. It also takes them, and eventually will take you as well, to a kind of visual map of what claims have been made at what time, so we can show the progress that's being made as you go through the various standards. And from the trainee side, that's really all there is to it. So the process then is to get all of your material into the right folders within the evidence folder in your drive. evidence of whatever type, and it can be any kind of file type, or Google or non-Google, document or video or whatever. As I say, Charlotte will give you some guidance on the number of elements of evidence that are expected. Come along to the trainee portal, fill in the form, and then at the appropriate time, you can do that any time up to the deadline, obviously, and from then on, the tutors will be able to do relevant folders, look at your work, and then they'll complete a very similar process that will allow them to add their own judgments against each of your standards. And that pretty much is it. So let's just have a look and see if there are any questions coming in. Yes, that's right. You rate the trainee on their progress against a whole standard rather than the individual work. That's right, isn't it, Charlotte?
Yes, absolutely. You're presenting this collection, you're putting it in folders, and you're saying, I believe the work in this folder is good or minimum standard. Obviously, if you've only got 4 pieces of work in that folder, it might just be minimum standard, that's fine. If you've got 10 pieces of work in that folder and you feel that's a finished bundle, as it were, that's because the 10 is the maximum amount of pieces of work you can put in your folder. And it would make, and then you might say, this is my completed standard 7 perhaps, because standard 7 and standard 1 are ones we've been working on for a while now. You might feel it's completed, and you might actually rate yourself as good or outstanding. You can obviously come back to that for online check 3 and for the final assessment and add more evidence to turn it into outstanding. But remember please that you can add 10 pieces of evidence to each of the standards as time goes on. So by the end of the course, you'll have 10 pieces of evidence in each of the standards. But at each online check, your tutor only has the capacity and the time to sample 20 pieces of evidence. They will not be able to check every single piece of writing you put into that portal because it's going to be huge. They will give you advice on the key pieces of work. You might even email them and ask them for them to check specific examples of work and say, I'd particularly like you to look at this reflective journal in standard 7 with this date on it. You might be really specific on what you want them to look at. Somebody asked me the other day about the fact that you've already got your 20 pieces already been checked in your portal, and now you're adding another 20 pieces. So in theory, some of you might have 40 pieces of evidence in your portal. That's absolutely fine. And that's kind of what the idea is, that those 20 pieces that have already been checked, you improve those and you take the advice of your tutor, you improve them, and then you add another 20 for the next check. Let's have a look at some questions. So yes, Robert Bell, good question. We upload all evidence to our folders. Yes, you upload all of the evidence into the folders and you only complete the assessment form when you're ready for your folders to be checked. The next online check is week beginning the 16th of January. So you've got until then to get your folders ready to be checked. I do not expect each folder to have 10 pieces of evidence in though. Remember, it's really important that you choose quality pieces to go in. Do not just ram your folders full of evidence for the sake of it. Make sure it's quality pieces. Yes, Nathan, you use this for the next online check. The next online check will be assessed. So your tutor will, when you've uploaded and you've uploaded an assessment form and you've said, I feel that standard 1 is good, your tutor will go to standard 1, look at your evidence and agree or disagree with your judgments. And that information will form part of your QA2 report. Right, another question from Robert. So whether we upload things from action plan. Yes, the whole point of having your action plans is that your tutor can see where you're going with your evidence bundles. That if for standard 1 you've only got 4 pieces of evidence, but in your action plans you've spelt out what the other 6 pieces of evidence will be, it'll be really obvious to your tutor the direction of travel of that standard, and they will be able to give you advice on whether you think that will make an outstanding bundle or not. At the minute, it might only be minimum, but they'll be able to look at your action plan and see how you aim to turn it into outstanding. Reflective journals are evidence. I don't know where you got that impression from, Rob. Reflective journals are evidence, and they're absolutely essential pieces of evidence. Will it be easy to see which bits the tutor sampled? Yeah, Kane, good question. What we can maybe do with the tutors is ask them to put an X at the beginning of the document to show which documents they've sampled. We can absolutely do that. We can have some kind of system.
It's also possible, of course, the tutor does have the right to put new things in your folders. If they wanted to leave a comment on your specific pieces of work, they could do. Either by, if it's in the Google format, so Google Docs or slides or sheets, they could put a comment directly on the piece of work itself, or by adding another document. That's if they wanted to be specific, but in general, the judgments are about the whole standard rather than individual works specifically.
Absolutely. That it's, you look at the breadth of the standard as a whole rather than individual pieces. And it's all those pieces together that meet that criteria rather than just one individual piece. Ellie's question about, again, how will we know what the tutor's looked at? We can ask the tutors to maybe put an X, we can ask them to rename the documents so it's obvious which ones they've looked at. And yes, Ellie, you can ask your tutor to prioritise which ones you want them to look at. All you need to do is send them an email and tell them what your priorities are. That cannot be done in this system. You would need to do that separately. Jake's question, do we need evidence in every single folder for the next online check? No, you absolutely don't. It's up to you to decide which 20 pieces you put in. But like I said, your tutor will only check a maximum of 20 pieces. So it's absolutely up to you. Some of you might still have nothing for part 2 or standard 8, and that's absolutely fine. But it might be something that comes out as a target for your online check 2. But all of you will have different ways of managing this. Some of you will have more evidence now for standard 1 and standard 7, and you'll be able to almost finish those bundles quite quickly. And others of you will then spend time looking at standard 8 and part 2, maybe in the summer term. Because part 2 and standard 8, a lot of those will be witness statements because it's about how you've contributed. And often you need time to be able to make those contributions. And so I'd probably leave those 2 standards till the end, to be honest. Any other questions?
Yeah, Nathan's asking if the video will remain on YouTube. It will stay on YouTube, and of course we can send out the link to it to you, so it'll be there for posterity now. I'm going to trim it because we got a lot of nonsense at the beginning, and it just needs sort of editing slightly. But no, it's going to be available forever now.
Okay. Tracy's asking if we can have a copy of the video on the drive. Would that be possible, Mark?
Yeah, I can download it and then turn it into an MP4 and stick it on. Is that because you don't have access to YouTube in your school or something like that? But yeah, anyway, whatever the reason, yeah, we can do that.
That'd be useful. What is the latest date trainees can put evidence in? The online check deadline is the 16th of January. So I presume it'd be 9 AM on the 16th of January will be the final date that you can submit. So all submissions need to be made by then. Has anyone got any other questions? I think we've answered everything. I've just answered Kane's question about the 16th of July. 9 AM is usually the deadline. If you feel you need longer, talk to your tutor, for example. That's a Monday morning, 9 o'clock. If your tutor, you know, if they say, I'm not going to look at it till Wednesday afternoon, and you negotiate that time with you, then that's up to you. And that's up to the tutors as well. If they're happy to give you a little bit more time because they're not going to be sat there at 9 o'clock working on it, then you can agree that with them on an individual basis, depending on your circumstances.
Okay, so thanks everybody for joining us. Like I say, this will be available on YouTube, and I'll also put a copy in Drive that you can all get at. If you've got any further questions, we're doing the same thing a little later this afternoon. you could come along then if you were that masochistic, or get in touch with me by email at any time.
And of course, we're working until the 20th of December. So yeah, please do contact us before that date.
All right. Anything else, Charlotte? I can close the broadcast now, I think.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Mark. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you.